a cooperative game of terror, danger, and adventure in which players take the roles of investigators working to solve mysteries, gather clues, and protect the world from ancient evils intent on destroying our world.
Hello and welcome to week 9 of Arkham Chronicle Designs a Game. This process started back in December 2019 and this series has been on the drawing board for a couple of years before then. We started filming stuff back in January 2020 and then the pandemic hit and screwed everything up, so we are only just getting round to editing and polishing this series in 2021. This is why some episodes were uploaded out of order or the screenshots aren't current and so on. Just to explain the way this series is structured for anyone that hasn't noticed, every odd episode, or should I say every odd numbered episode, is a design diary video like this one that directly tracks the evolution of the game design and the process that I'm using in my head to create it. Every even numbered episode, like the What is a Megagame explanation video, is a more generic standalone that serves as an example or inspiration for the game design or helps explain a concept to anyone not familiar with it. This isn't set in stone, it's just the way things have been progressing. So that's the reason only these odd-numbered episodes begin with hello and welcome to week 9 of Arkham Chronicle Designs a Game. In week 1 we decided to become game designers, week 2 settled on a mega game, week 3 discussed the potential audience and destination, week 4 was researching mega games and finding good sources of information. Week 5 matched the theme to the mechanics and concluded that the Arkham Files universe was ripe for conversion to a megagame. Week 6 saw all of you helping to boil down what makes an Arkham Files game to either a list of bullet points or a helpful one-paragraph definition, which may or may not fit on a t-shirt. In week 7 we drew up our list of 13 topics we want to address when designing the mechanics of our game. Last week we were supremely honoured with a visit from Megagame journalist and designer Becky Campbell-Ladley. Things generally seem positive and we will incorporate her feedback when we get to the individual topics. As a game designer, particularly an amateur one, you should be asking for as much advice as possible, and it's lucky that the internet is full of places where designers of different kinds can go and find it. You should be looking to playtest your game as early as possible, and as much as possible. The Megagame Assembly has an episode about playtesting large-scale games. But as the game's designer, you need to develop the skills to know which advice to follow and when to stick to your guns. It's going to be interesting to see if I can talk Becky round on the hard difficulty and fully co-op goals of this game, or if they'll be too challenging to implement. So, thanks to the awesome linguistic skills of Haunster, we now have a handy mission statement that allows us to tell people all about the theme of our game. And it's a great excuse to sell merch to help pay for the running of the game. Sweet! As this is week 9, it is definitely time to start showing off the mechanics. So here are some back of a napkin notes to get you started. You have 4 opposing parties, law versus criminals because it's the 1920s, and academics versus occultists because that is super Lovecraftian. It takes place in the fictional city of Arkham because that is Lovecraft's most famous city. Cultists gather, portals open, monsters pour forth, locations are damaged, and eventually Arkham falls. Arkham Falls is a great name, by the way, almost as good as Arkham in Flames, which also looks good on a t-shirt. I totally need that guy to design some posters. The criminals and the law, while opposing each other, can drive off the cultists. The occultists can deal with the mythos creatures and the academics close the portals, but I will need another faction as 5 is the minimum number of factions. If you need to know why, then check out the highly knowledgeable Drakan Dembinski and his talk at the LDC 2016. Opposing these factions of players will be the cultists, and luckily FFG has already designed a plethora to choose from. These could be proper moustache-twirling bad guys in their own individual teams, or they could be hidden traitors working from within and part of a player faction. Although hidden traitors aren't really a feature of Arkham Files games. In my opinion, having lots of smaller teams works better in a mega game than a few large teams, as the smaller your team, the more there is for you to do and the less chance you will get lost in a crowd. And the more other teams there are, the greater the opportunities for discussion and interaction. I think 4 to 6 players per team will be a good fit for this game. As Becky mentioned, a fully cooperative game with a single group of players and a single binary goal is hard to sustain over 6 to 8 hours, so having factions introduces team goals and short-term personal success without sacrificing a separate save-the-world endgame. And if those team or personal goals conflict with a different team, then so much the better. The law and criminal factions are definitely ideologically opposed, and they could be actively antagonistic towards each other. Likewise, the academics who believe in science and the occultists who champion mysticism are also thematically opposed, and they could be hostile towards each other. As mentioned, the law and criminal factions will be dealing with the human cultists, very much with the truncheons and Tommy gun style of combat. And the academics and occultists will be facing more eldritch opponents using rituals and scientific study. These two classes of antagonists mean we can neatly incorporate health and sanity into the game as two separate damage types. Pretty neat, eh? Okay, so let's stop there as I don't want to introduce too many concepts to discuss at once. But in the comments below, please suggest a 5th faction for the Arkham Megagame and tell us all about them in the comments below. We wish we had a prize to give out for the best one, but it's not like we have t-shirts just lying around or anything. In the next pair of episodes, we will be talking all about locations in Arkham Horror and the key role they will be playing in this game. So, see you next week, everyone!